Hello, guys. I'm 72 years old, and I never thought I'd say this, but I helped my daughter escape from hell by putting my other daughter right back into it. Let me tell you how my twin girls, Imani and Nia, pulled off the greatest switch of their lives, and how we made that monster pay for every bruise he put on my baby's face. The day it all came together, I was sitting in the psychiatric hospital visiting room, when Nia looked at Imani's swollen face and said the words that changed everything. "We're identical. We can switch." Imani's right eye was nearly shut from swelling, her lip was split, and there were finger-shaped bruises around her neck. Little Zara, my 3-year-old grandbaby, had a handprint bruise on her arm. That's when Nia stood up, walked over to her twin sister, and touched her face so gently it made my heart break. "I'll go back for you," she whispered. "I'll make them pay." Before we continue, please drop a comment if you've ever experienced something like this. We'd love to hear your story, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Now let me take you back to where this all started, because you need to understand who my girls really are. Imani and Nia came into this world together, two perfect baby girls with matching dimples and the same bright eyes. They were born in 1985, and from day one, they were inseparable. Even their daddy, God rest his soul, couldn't tell them apart unless they were standing right in front of him. They did everything together, wore the same clothes, braided each other's hair, finished each other's sentences. If one felt pain, the other one knew it. But they weren't exactly the same on the inside. Imani was the gentle one, always avoiding conflict, always trying to make peace. She'd give you the shirt off her back and apologize for not having 2 shirts to give. Nia was the protector, the fighter. She had a fire in her that burned hot when anyone messed with the people she loved. They were 17 when everything changed. It was a Friday night in October 2002. The girls had just finished a shift at the church fish fry fundraiser. They were walking home together, laughing about something, when a man started following them. I'll never forget getting that phone call. The police said there had been an incident. They said Nia had attacked someone. They said it was bad. Here's what really happened. That man tried to grab Imani, put his hands on her, tried to drag her into an alley. Nia didn't think. She just reacted. She picked up a brick from the ground and she didn't stop hitting him until the police pulled her off. The man lived, barely, but he spent 6 months in the hospital. Nia was arrested that night. The lawyer said she had a case for self-defense, for defending her sister, but Nia had a history the lawyer didn't know about. She'd gotten into fights at school defending other kids from bullies. She'd broken a boy's nose when he put his hands on a girl who said no. The prosecutor painted her as violent, dangerous, out of control. They brought in doctors who said she had impulse control disorder, that she was a threat to society. I spent every dollar I had on lawyers, on doctors, on anyone who would listen. But in the end, my baby girl was sent to Rosewood Psychiatric Hospital for evaluation. The evaluation turned into months, and the months turned into years. They kept saying she wasn't ready, that she needed more treatment, that she was making progress, but not enough progress. 10 years. They kept my Nia locked up for 10 years for saving her sister's life. Meanwhile, Imani tried to move on. She finished high school, went to community college, got a job at the hospital as a nursing assistant. She visited Nia every single week, never missed once. She'd tell her twin about everything happening in the world outside those walls. She'd bring pictures, magazines, anything to help Nia feel connected. That's where Imani met Damon Reeves in 2016. He was visiting his grandmother who was a patient on her floor. He seemed nice at first, polite, respectful. He'd bring Imani coffee and they'd talk during her breaks. He knew about Nia, and he told Imani he admired her loyalty to her sister. He said he wanted a woman who understood family. I didn't like him from the start. Something about his smile didn't reach his eyes. Something about the way he watched Imani when she wasn't looking. But Imani was lonely. She was carrying guilt about Nia being locked up for protecting her. She wanted someone to love her, to make her feel normal again. They got married in 2018, small ceremony at the courthouse. His mama Geraldine was there, lips pursed like she'd swallowed something sour. His sister Tanisha kept looking Imani up and down like she was judging every inch of her. I held my tongue. I smiled. I prayed I was wrong about that family. I wasn't wrong. The first time Damon hit Imani was 3 months after the wedding. She showed up at my house with sunglasses on indoors. Said she'd walked into a cabinet. I knew. Lord knows I knew. But Imani begged me not to make a scene. She said it was a one-time thing, that Damon was under stress at work, that he'd apologized and cried and promised it would never happen again. It happened again, and again, and again. By the time Zara was born in 2021, Imani was a ghost of herself. She stopped visiting Nia as often. She stopped coming to church. She stopped answering my calls. When I did see her, she always had an excuse. Long sleeves in summer, makeup caked on to hide bruises, that fake smile that didn't fool anyone but herself. Damon's family was just as bad. Geraldine would criticize everything Imani did. Her cooking wasn't good enough. Her cleaning wasn't thorough enough. She wasn't raising Zara right. Tanisha would come over and rearrange Imani's house, throw away her things, tell Damon that his wife was lazy and worthless. And if Imani said anything, if she defended herself even a little bit, all three of them would gang up on her. Damon would hit her. Geraldine would call her ungrateful. Tanisha would threaten to call CPS and say Imani was an unfit mother. I tried to intervene. God knows I tried. But Damon moved them 2 hours away from me. He controlled her phone. He controlled her money. He drove her to and from work and monitored every minute she wasn't under his roof. The few times I managed to see her, he was always there, watching, listening, making sure she didn't say the wrong thing. It got worse when Zara started talking. That baby would flinch when Damon raised his voice. She'd hide behind furniture when Geraldine came over. One time I saw a bruise on her little arm, and Imani said she'd fallen, but I knew. That bruise had finger marks. 7 years. My daughter suffered for 7 years in that house of horrors while her twin sister suffered in a psychiatric hospital. Both of my girls were prisoners, locked away from life, from love, from freedom. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in September, this year, 2024. I was at Rosewood visiting Nia like I did every Tuesday and Thursday. We were in the common room playing cards when the receptionist called me up front. "Mrs. Clark, your other daughter is here to see you. She's asking for both of you." My heart dropped into my stomach. Imani never came to the hospital. Damon wouldn't allow it. He said it was too depressing, that it would upset Imani too much to see her sister locked up. The fact that she was here meant something was terribly wrong. When Imani walked into that visiting room, I nearly fell out of my chair. Her face was purple and swollen. Both eyes were black. Her bottom lip was split so bad she could barely talk. She was walking with a limp. And little Zara, my sweet grandbaby, was holding her hand with tears streaming down her face and a dark bruise on her cheek. Nia stood up so fast her chair fell over backward. She crossed the room in 3 steps and grabbed Imani's face, tilting it toward the light. The sound that came out of Nia's throat was like nothing I'd ever heard. It was rage and pain and 10 years of helpless fury all wrapped into one. "Who did this to you?" Nia's voice was deadly calm. Imani started crying. "All of them. Damon, Geraldine, Tanisha. They all take turns. Last night was bad. Really bad. Damon found out I'd been hiding money, just $20 here and there from grocery money, trying to save enough to leave. She couldn't finish. Nia's jaw clenched. "Did he touch Zara?" Imani nodded, and that's when she broke down completely. Tanisha slapped her yesterday for spilling juice, called her a stupid little brat. Damon told her to stop being dramatic when she cried. I tried to protect her. And that's when he... She lifted her shirt. Her ribs were covered in bruises. I was crying by then. Zara was crying. But Nia's eyes were dry and cold as ice. She was looking at her sister's face, at her twin, at the other half of her soul, and I could see the calculations happening behind her eyes. "We're identical," Nia said slowly. Imani looked confused. "What?" "We're identical twins. Same height, same weight. Same face, same voice." Nia touched her sister's swollen cheek gently. "We can switch places." The room went silent, except for Zara's sniffling. "I'll go back as you," Nia continued. "I'll deal with them. And you stay here, as me. You rest. You heal. You let the doctors take care of you for once." She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been waiting 10 years for a reason to use everything she'd learned about survival in this place. "Let me handle your husband." Imani's eyes went wide. "Nia, you can't. You'll get in trouble. You'll get hurt. They're vicious." "Baby girl," Nia said softly. "I've been locked up for 10 years for defending you from a man who tried to hurt you. I'm not afraid of your husband. I'm not afraid of his mama or his sister. They don't know who they're about to meet." I should have stopped it. I should have said no. I should have called the police, called a lawyer, done anything except what I did next. But I looked at my daughter's broken face, at my grandbaby's bruised cheek, at Nia's determined eyes, and I made a choice. "When do we do this?" I asked. That's how it started. That's how we plan to switch my daughter's lives and make those people pay for every single bruise. The switch happened that same afternoon. We had 2 hours before Damon expected Imani home from her doctor's appointment. That's what she'd told him she was doing, claiming she needed to see someone about her clumsiness. He'd laughed when she said it, actually laughed at his wife's injuries that he'd caused. Nia and Imani sat facing each other in the hospital bathroom, and I watched my daughters trade their lives. They swapped clothes first. Imani's outfit still smelled like fear in that house. Nia put it on without flinching. Then came the details. Wedding ring, phone, wallet, keys. Imani told Nia the passcode for everything, the routines, the rules Damon had for her. "He tracks your phone," Imani whispered. "He checks the mileage on the car. He counts the money in your wallet. He goes through your purse every night." "Good," Nia said. "Let him. He won't find anything wrong because I'll be perfect. Until I'm not." The hardest part was the hair. Imani wore her braids pulled back in a low ponytail because Damon said anything else was too flashy. Nia usually kept her hair in a short, natural style because it was easier in the hospital. We didn't have time to braid Nia's hair, so we found a wig that matched Imani's style. It wasn't perfect, but unless you were looking real close, you couldn't tell. "Remember," Imani said, gripping her sister's hands. "Damon gets home at 6:30. Dinner has to be on the table by 7. He wants meat, starch, and vegetable. No repeating meals in the same week. Geraldine comes over every Wednesday and Saturday morning. Tanisha drops by whenever she feels like it, usually to criticize something." Nia nodded, memorizing every detail. "What about Zara's routine?" "Bath at 7:30, bed by 8. She likes her unicorn nightlight on." "And Nia?" Imani's voice cracked. "Don't let them hurt her, please." "Nobody's touching that baby again," Nia said. "I promise you that." We took Zara aside and explained it to her as simply as we could. "Auntie Nia is going to pretend to be mommy for a little while. Can you help her? Can you be brave?" That sweet baby looked at Nia with those big eyes and nodded. She understood more than any 3-year-old should have to understand. Dr. Harrison, one of the psychiatrists who'd been working with Nia, helped us make it official in the hospital records. He was a good man who'd always believed Nia shouldn't be there. When we told him what was happening, what Imani had been going through, he looked at those bruises on her face and made a decision. He admitted Nia Clark to the psychiatric hospital for evaluation and treatment of trauma. The real Nia Clark walked out of Rosewood that day as Imani Reeves, holding her niece's hand. I drove them home, following Imani's directions to the house 2 hours away in Oakmont. It was a nice neighborhood, pretty houses with neat lawns, white picket fences. The kind of place where people minded their business and ignored the sounds of violence coming from next door. "This is it," Nia said when we pulled up to a yellow house with black shutters. "This is where it ends." I hugged her tight before she got out. "Baby, you be careful. These people are dangerous." "Mama," Nia said, looking me dead in the eye. "I've spent 10 years in a psychiatric hospital. I've dealt with people who'd kill you over a pudding cup. I've learned how to fight, how to survive, how to read people and know exactly what makes them tick. Damon Reeves has no idea what's about to walk through his door." I watched my daughter take Zara's hand and walk up to that house. She used Amani's keys to unlock the door. She stepped inside, and the door closed behind them. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, praying harder than I'd ever prayed in my life. That first night, Nia told me later, she played it perfect. She made dinner exactly how Amani always did. Baked chicken, rice, green beans. She set the table. She had Zara washed and in her pajamas. When Damon walked through the door at 6:32, everything looked normal. "Something smells good," he said, not even looking at her face. The bruises he'd put there just 24 hours ago didn't seem to bother him at all. "Dinner's ready," Nia said in Amani's soft voice. "Let me fix your plate." They sat down to eat. Damon complained that the chicken was dry. Nia apologized and offered to make him something else. He said no, said she'd already wasted enough food. Then he criticized how she'd cleaned the kitchen that morning, said there were crumbs on the counter. Nia apologized again. "You're being extra agreeable tonight," Damon said, suspicious. "What did you mess up that I haven't found yet?" "Nothing," Nia said. "I just want things to be peaceful." He stared at her for a long moment, then went back to eating. After dinner, he watched TV while Nia cleaned up. He yelled for another beer. She brought it. He told her to sit down next to him. She did. He put his hand on her thigh, squeezing hard enough to hurt, and Nia felt every muscle in her body coil tight. But she didn't move. Not yet. "You know I love you, right?" Damon said. "I only get upset because you make me. If you just do things right the first time, I wouldn't have to correct you." "I know," Nia said. She was studying him, learning his patterns, seeing how he justified his cruelty to himself. She needed to understand him before she destroyed him. That night, he wanted to touch her. Nia said she was in pain from her injuries. Could they wait a few days? He got angry, called her useless, said she was always making excuses. But he didn't push it. He just rolled over and went to sleep. Nia lay awake in that bed next to her sister's abuser, planning. She'd brought one thing with her from the hospital that wasn't Amani's, a small digital recorder that Dr. Harrison had slipped into her pocket. "Document everything," he'd whispered. "Every threat, every insult, every violent act. You'll need evidence." Wednesday morning came. Nia got up early, made breakfast, got Zara ready for daycare, and prepared for Geraldine's visit. When that woman walked through the door at 9 a.m., she immediately started criticizing. "This floor is filthy. Do you even know how to mop? And why is Zara's hair not done properly? You're an embarrassment to this family." Nia, playing Amani, apologized and promised to do better. She cleaned while Geraldine sat on the couch eating the cookies Nia had baked, dropping crumbs everywhere, pointing out every speck of dust. The recorder in Nia's pocket captured every insult. "My son deserves better than you," Geraldine said. "You're lucky he even stays with someone as worthless as you. If it wasn't for that child, he'd have left you long ago." "Yes, ma'am," Nia said quietly. Inside, she was counting down. Friday afternoon, Tanisha showed up unannounced. She walked through the house like she owned it, moving things around. Throwing away things she said were tacky. When Zara accidentally knocked over a cup of juice, Tanisha raised her hand to slap her. Nia caught her wrist mid-swing. "Don't," Nia said. Her voice was still soft, still Imani's voice, but there was steel underneath it. Tanisha jerked her hand away. "Excuse me?" Did you just grab me? I said don't hit her, Naya repeated. She's 3 years old. It was an accident. Tanisha's eyes narrowed. You've got some nerve. Wait until Damon hears about this. Tell him, Nia said. Tell him I protected my daughter from being hit by someone who has no right to put hands on her. Tanisha left in a huff. Naya knew she'd made a mistake, moved too soon. But she couldn't watch someone hit Zara. She just couldn't. That night, Damon came home in a rage. Tanisha had called him at work, told him that Imani had attacked her, that she was acting crazy. He slammed through the door, grabbed Nia by the throat, and shoved her against the wall. Who do you think you are? He shouted in her face. His spit hit her cheek. His fingers dug into her throat. You put your hands on my sister? This was it. This was the moment Nia had been waiting for. The recorder was running. Zara was safely in her room, and Damon had just made his biggest mistake. I stopped her from hitting Zara, Nia said calmly. Too calmly. I don't care what she was doing. That's my sister. You don't touch my family. His grip tightened. Nia's vision started to blur. She could have stopped him right then. Could have broken his wrist with a move she'd learned from a former Marine who'd been in Rosewood. But she let him keep choking her for 15 more seconds, let the recorder capture his grunts of effort, her gasps for air. Let him think he was in control. Then she brought her knee up hard into his groin. Damon dropped like a stone, gasping. Before he could recover, Naya had him face down on the floor with his arm twisted behind his back. It was a restraint hold she'd been put in dozens of times by hospital security. She knew exactly how much pressure to apply. Here's what's going to happen, Naya said quietly in his ear. You're never going to put your hands on me again. You're never going to touch Zara again. And if you call your mama or your sister, if you try to gang up on me like you used to, I promise you'll regret it. You crazy witch, Damon gasped. I'll kill you. There it is, Nia said. Death threat, recorded. How stupid are you, Damon? She let him go. He scrambled away from her, confused and terrified. This wasn't the woman he'd been beating for 7 years. This woman wasn't afraid. This woman had just put him on the floor like he was nothing. What's wrong with you? He panted. What happened to you? I got tired, Nia said simply. Now get out. Sleep on the couch tonight. If you come near this bedroom, I'll break your arm. He wanted to fight back. She could see it in his eyes. But something in her face stopped him. Maybe it was the coldness there. Maybe it was the way she stood, balanced and ready, like someone who'd been in 100 fights and won most of them. He grabbed a blanket and went to the couch. Nia locked the bedroom door, checked on Zara, who was sleeping through everything, and called me. Mama, she said. It started. I need you to call Pastor Fleming tomorrow. Tell him I need legal help, the kind that can handle domestic violence and custody cases. And Mama, tell him to be ready. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. Saturday morning, Geraldine showed up for her regular visit. She let herself in with her own key, already talking about how disappointed she was in Imani's behavior, how Tanisha had told her everything. She found Nia in the kitchen making breakfast. Damon was still on the couch, nursing his bruised pride and other bruised parts. What did you do to my son? Geraldine demanded. He attacked me, Nia said calmly, flipping pancakes. I defended myself. There's a difference. Defended yourself? You? Against a grown man? Geraldine laughed. Damon, what's she talking about? Damon didn't answer. He couldn't explain how his wife had suddenly learned to fight. Get out of my house, Geraldine said to Nia. Pack your things and get out. You're not welcome here anymore. It's not your house, Nia said. It's in both our names. I'm not going anywhere. We'll see about that. Geraldine pulled out her phone and called Tanisha. Get over here. We need to handle this situation. 30 minutes later, all three of them were there. Damon, Geraldine, and Tanisha. They surrounded Nia in the living room like a pack of wolves. Zara was at my house by then. I'd picked her up early that morning at Nia's request. "You've lost your mind," Tanisha said, "but we're going to help you find it again." They moved toward her together. This was their pattern. This was how they'd broken Imani down over 7 years. All 3 of them at once, overwhelming her, making her feel small and helpless. But Nia wasn't Imani. When Geraldine reached for her, Nia sidestepped smoothly, and the older woman stumbled. When Tanisha tried to grab her arm, Nia twisted away, and Tanisha's momentum carried her into the couch. When Damon rushed her, thinking he could use his size advantage, Nia dropped low and swept his legs out from under him. All 3 of them ended up on the floor, shocked and confused. "I told you," Nia said, standing over them with the recorder visible in her hand now. "Things have changed. And all of this? Recorded. 3 people trying to assault 1 woman in her own home. That's conspiracy." "You can't prove anything," Damon said, getting to his feet. "Can't I?" Nia pulled out her phone and showed them the security cameras she'd installed 2 days ago. Little wireless ones hidden around the house. "Smile, you're on camera." Geraldine's face went white. "You're bluffing." "Try me," Nia said. "Put your hands on me again. See what happens. Because I'm not the woman you think I am. I'm not the woman you've been abusing for 7 years. I'm someone who knows how to fight back, and I'm done being afraid of you." Tanisha looked at Damon. "There's something wrong with her. She's different." "She's still my wife," Damon said, but he didn't sound confident anymore. "Then act like it," Nia said. "Treat me with respect. Keep your mama and your sister out of my house, and maybe we can figure this out. But if you put your hands on me or my daughter again, I'll have all 3 of you arrested so fast your heads will spin." They left. All 3 of them. They retreated to regroup, to figure out what had happened to the woman they thought they'd broken. Nia called me as soon as they were gone. "Mama, I need you to get Imani to sign some papers. The lawyer's going to bring them to the hospital. Power of attorney, access to bank accounts, everything. We're going to dismantle this family's whole operation." "Baby, are you sure about this?" I asked. "They might come back worse." "Let them try," Nia said. I could hear the smile in her voice. "I've been waiting 10 years for this, Mama. 10 years of being locked up for defending my sister. Now I get to finish what I started. And this time, I'm going to do it right. This time, I'm going to make sure they can never hurt anyone again." That Sunday, Damon tried one more time. He waited until late at night, thought Nia would be asleep. He snuck into the bedroom with duct tape and rope. He was going to restrain her, hurt her, put her back in her place. He didn't even make it 2 steps before Nia had him on the ground with her foot on his throat. "Attempted assault with weapons," she said calmly. "That's a felony, Damon. And guess what? The bedroom camera caught everything." Damon started crying, actually crying, begging her not to call the police, promising he'd never do it again, swearing he'd change. Nia took her foot off his throat and looked down at him with disgust. "You know what's sad? If you'd just been a decent human being. If you'd just loved my sister the way she deserved, none of this would be happening. But you're a coward who only feels strong when you're hurting someone weaker than you. Well, I'm not weaker than you. And I'm about to prove it." She called the police right then and there. When they arrived, she had everything ready. Recordings of death threats, video of attempted assault, photos of Imani's injuries from the hospital, evidence of years of domestic violence. The officers arrested Damon on the spot. While they were putting handcuffs on him, he looked at Nia with pure hatred. "This isn't over," he said. "Yes," Nia said quietly. "It really is." But she was wrong about that. Because as the police car pulled away with Damon in the back, Nia's phone rang. It was Geraldine. "You think you've won?" the old woman hissed. "You think sending my boy to jail changes anything? We know people. We have money. We're going to destroy you. We're going to take Zara away from you and put you in the ground. Nobody crosses the Reeves family and lives to tell about it. Naya hung up and stood in the doorway of that house, watching the red taillights disappear down the street. She'd won this battle. But the war was just beginning. The next morning, Monday, Naya had the locks changed before Geraldine or Tanisha could let themselves in. When they showed up at 9 a.m. with their key and found it didn't work, they started banging on the door hard enough to shake the windows. "Open this door right now!" Geraldine screamed. "This is still my son's house!" Naya opened the door with her phone recording. "You need to leave, you're trespassing." "Trespassing?" Tanisha pushed past her into the house. "We're family." "Not anymore," Nia said calmly. "Damon is in jail. I have a restraining order being filed today against both of you." "You have 60 seconds to leave before I call the police." Geraldine's face twisted with rage. "You put my son in jail over nothing. He barely touched you. You're making this whole thing up." "Barely touched me?" Nia pulled up photos on her phone. Pictures of Imani's beaten face, her bruised ribs, Zara's bruised arm. "This is what your son did. This is what you watched him do and said nothing. This is what you helped him do by telling him his wife was worthless and deserved to be punished." "Those pictures are fake," Tanisha said, but her voice wavered. "Then you can explain that to the judge," Nia said. "Because I'm filing charges against both of you too. Conspiracy to commit domestic violence, child endangerment, assault. Take your pick." Geraldine lunged at her then, trying to grab her hair, screaming obscenities. Tanisha joined in, both of them thinking they could overpower her together. But Nia had spent 10 years in a facility where fights broke out daily. She knew how to protect herself without seriously hurting anyone. She caught Geraldine's wrist, twisted it gently but firmly, and guided the woman down to her knees. When Tanisha tried to hit her from behind, Nia ducked, and Tanisha's fist connected with the wall instead. Both women ended up on the floor, breathless and shocked. "That's assault," Nia said, still recording. "Both of you, on camera. Thank you for making my case even stronger." She called the police again. This time, when the officers arrived, they arrested both Geraldine and Tanisha. The bail hearing was set for Wednesday. That night, alone in the house for the first time, Naya sat down and cried. Not from fear or pain, but from relief. She called me, and I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. "I got them all, Mama," she whispered. "All 3 of them are in custody." "Baby, you did good," I said. "But now comes the hard part. They're going to fight back with everything they have." "I know," Nia said. "That's why I need to make sure they can't win." The lawyer Pastor Fleming recommended was a sister named Rochelle Winters, and she was fierce. She'd handled dozens of domestic violence cases, and she came to that house Tuesday morning with a briefcase full of determination. "Tell me everything," she said. Naya showed her the recordings, the videos, the photographs, the medical records from when Imani had gone to the hospital. She showed her bank statements proving Damon had controlled all the money. She showed her text messages where he threatened Imani. She showed her Geraldine's threatening voicemail from after the arrest. Rochelle's eyes got wider with each piece of evidence. "This is airtight. We're not just getting you a divorce. We're getting you justice, and we're going to make sure they pay for what they did." "I want full custody of Zara," Naya said. "I want a restraining order that keeps all 3 of them away from her forever, and I want them to face criminal charges." "They will," Rochelle promised. "All of them." The preliminary hearing was on Friday. Damon showed up in his orange jumpsuit, looking rough. His lawyer tried to argue that this was all a misunderstanding, that couples have disagreements, that there was no real evidence of abuse. Rochelle stood up with a tablet in her hand. "Your Honor, I have video evidence of the defendant attempting to assault his wife with duct tape and rope in the middle of the night. I have audio recordings of him threatening to kill her. I have medical photographs of injuries he inflicted. And I have testimony from multiple witnesses, including hospital staff who treated the victim's injuries. She played the video of Damon sneaking into the bedroom with rope. The courtroom went silent. Even Damon's lawyer looked sick. The judge set bail at $200,000. Geraldine started screaming that it was too much, that they didn't have that kind of money. The bailiff had to escort her out. Tanisha made bail first, somehow scraping together $20,000 for the bond. She immediately started posting on social media, claiming Imani was lying, that she was trying to destroy their family, that everyone should know what a terrible person she was. That was her mistake. Rochelle had been monitoring social media, and every post Tanisha made was documented. Every lie, every threat, every attempt to harass and intimidate. It all went into the case file. Meanwhile, at Rosewood Hospital, something beautiful was happening. Imani was healing. Not just her body, though the bruises were fading. Her spirit was coming back to life. Dr. Harrison told me she'd started smiling again. She was sleeping through the night without nightmares. She was eating properly. She was attending group therapy and helping other patients. She was becoming herself again. "I feel free," she told me during a visit. "For the first time in 7 years, I feel like I can breathe. Mama, is that wrong? That I'm happy while I'm supposed to be in a psychiatric hospital?" "Baby, you're healing," I said. "That's not wrong. That's exactly right." The divorce proceedings started in October. Damon's family hired an expensive lawyer, probably using money they'd been hiding. They fought for everything. They claimed Nia was mentally unstable, that she was an unfit mother, that she'd attacked them unprovoked. Rochelle destroyed every argument. She brought in Dr. Harrison, who testified about Imani's trauma and recovery. She brought in the daycare workers who'd noticed Zara's bruises and been afraid to report them. She brought in neighbors who'd heard the fighting. She brought in the arresting officers who'd seen the evidence firsthand. And then Rochelle played the recordings. All of them. Every threat Damon had made. Every insult Geraldine had thrown. Every cruel word Tanisha had spoken. The courtroom heard everything. Damon's lawyer tried to object, tried to claim the recordings were illegal. But Rochelle had made sure everything was done by the book. Single-party consent state. Recording in your own home, all legal. The judge listened to 7 years of abuse condensed into 2 hours of audio and video. When it was over, he took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "I've been on the bench for 23 years, he said quietly. "And this is one of the most disturbing cases I've ever heard. Mr. Reeves, you and your family systematically tortured this woman and her child. You destroyed her sense of self-worth. You isolated her from her support system. You made her believe she deserved to be beaten." Damon tried to speak. The judge held up his hand. "I'm not finished. Mrs. Reeves, I don't know how you found the strength to fight back, but I'm glad you did. This divorce is granted. Full custody of the minor child goes to the mother. Mr. Reeves, you are ordered to pay child support in the amount of $1,500 per month. The marital home goes to Mrs. Reeves. The vehicles, the savings accounts, the retirement funds, all of it goes to Mrs. Reeves. Additionally, I'm awarding Mrs. Reeves $620,000 in compensatory damages for pain and suffering, emotional distress, and the years of abuse she endured." The courtroom erupted. Geraldine started screaming. Tanisha was crying. Damon just sat there, hollow-eyed, finally understanding that he'd lost everything. But the judge wasn't done. "Furthermore, I'm referring this case to the District Attorney for Criminal Prosecution. Mrs. Geraldine Reeves and Ms. Tanisha Reeves, you are being charged as accessories to domestic violence and child endangerment. Mr. Reeves, you're facing multiple felony charges including aggravated assault, attempted assault with a deadly weapon, terroristic threats, and child abuse. Bail is revoked. All 3 defendants will remain in custody until trial." Rochelle turned to Nia and smiled. "We won." Nia nodded, but she wasn't smiling. She was thinking about her sister. That evening, Nia drove to Rosewood Hospital. She found Imani in the courtyard, reading a book in the fading sunlight. Her twin looked up and their eyes met, identical eyes that had seen such different versions of hell. It's over, Nia said. They're all in jail. The divorce is final. The house is yours, and you're getting $620,000. Imani started crying. I don't care about the money. I just want to know if Zara's safe. She's safe, Nia promised. She's with Mama, and she's going to stay safe forever. They can't touch her anymore. What about you? Imani asked. When do you get to stop pretending to be me? Nia sat down next to her sister. Soon. Dr. Harrison is going to evaluate you next week. He's going to declare you psychologically healthy and ready to be released. And then we switch back. What if they find out what we did? What if we get in trouble? They won't, Nia said, because as far as anyone knows, you had a breakdown from years of abuse and needed psychiatric care. You got treatment, you got better, and now you're coming home. That's the truth. We just rearranged who went where for a little while. The evaluation happened the following Wednesday. Dr. Harrison spent 3 hours with Imani, and at the end of it, he smiled. Mrs. Reeves, he said formally, for the records, I'm pleased to inform you that you've made remarkable progress. Your trauma responses have significantly decreased. You're no longer showing signs of acute stress disorder. Your depression has lifted. You're engaging positively with treatment. I'm recommending your release. Imani was discharged from Rosewood on November 1st. We did the switch in reverse. Back in that same bathroom where it had started. They traded clothes, traded phones, traded lives one more time. But this time, both of them were free. We drove home together, all 3 of us. Me, Imani, and Nia. Zara was waiting at my house with Pastor Fleming and his wife who'd been watching her. When that baby saw her mama, her real mama, she ran into Imani's arms and held on tight. I was so brave, Mommy, Zara said. Auntie Nia said I was the bravest girl ever. You are, Imani said, crying and laughing at the same time. You're my brave, beautiful girl. That night, we all stayed at my house. We made a big dinner together. Fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread, macaroni and cheese, all of Imani's favorites. We ate until we couldn't eat anymore. We laughed until our sides hurt. We cried until there were no tears left. What are you going to do now? I asked my daughters. Imani looked at Nia, and Nia looked at Imani. They smiled at each other, that twin smile they'd shared since birth. We're going to live, Imani said. Really live. Not just survive. I'm thinking about going back to school, Nia added. Maybe becoming a social worker. Help other people who've been through what we went through. And I'm going to open a bakery, Imani said. Something I've always wanted to do but never could. I'm going to use some of that settlement money to start my own business. Be my own boss, answer to nobody but myself. What about you, baby girl? I asked Zara. What do you want to do? That sweet child looked up at me with those big eyes and said, I want to stay with Mommy and Auntie Nia and Grandma forever and ever. And I want to eat cookies every day. That sounds like a perfect plan, I said. The criminal trial happened in January. All 3 of them, Damon, Geraldine, and Tanisha, were convicted. Damon got 15 years. Geraldine got 7. Tanisha got 5. They'd spend a long time behind bars, locked away just like they'd locked Imani away in her own marriage, just like the system had locked Nia away for protecting her sister. But my girls were free now, both of them, free from abuse, free from injustice, free from the prisons that had held them for so long. Imani bought a little house in my neighborhood with some of the settlement money. Nia moved in with her. They're raising Zara together, 2 mamas who love that child more than life itself. Imani's bakery opened in March, and it's already the most popular spot in town. Nia's in her 2nd semester of social work school, and she's top of her class. As for me, I get to see my daughters and my grandbaby every single day. I get to watch them heal, watch them grow, watch them become the women they were always meant to be. People ask me sometimes if I regret helping them switch places. They say it was risky, that we could have gotten in trouble, that we bent the rules. I tell them the truth. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. My girls spent too many years in different kinds of hell. Nia locked up for being a hero. Imani locked down by a monster. But they survived. They fought back. They won. And now they're free. Both of them. Finally, beautifully, completely free. That's all for today's story. If this touched your heart, please subscribe and share your own experiences below. We're all in this together.